performed only after record is approved. Record is approved. Now, approval process is what? As per your organization, business requirement, you need some approvals to be done before the logic is implemented on the record. Now, how to create this approval process? Look at the format. Setup, build, create workflows and approvals, approval process. Setup, build, create workflows and approvals, approval process. Then we have manage approval process on which object. You can take any one of the object, let's say candidate, customer. On a customer object I am creating. Choose the object on which you are creating approval process. Then what type of process is this? Now there are two types of process. Jump start wizard, standard setup wizard. Now what was this jump start wizard? It says, boss, I am a simple process and a single step. I am a simple process and I am a single step. One step approval and a simplified approval. Let us say you want to propose a girl. She told, boss, you want to marry me, talk to my father, get it approved. One step. Now you told, boss, you want to marry me, become an IPS officer, come, I'll marry. Process is only one step, but complex. Single step, complex process, it is what? Standard setup wizard. Single step, simple process, jump start wizard. Then he told, boss, talk to my father, talk to my brother, talk to my, nephew, talk to my relatives, then I'll approve. Then what is that? Multiple steps. So if it is a multiple step, standard setup wizard. Single step, complex, standard setup wizard. Single step, simplified process, jump start wizard. So if your approval process is single step, simple process, that is a jump start wizard. If your process is multiple step or a single step with complex process, then we go for standard setup wizard. Complex, standard, simplified, jump start. Generally we go with the standard setup wizard. Right. Give the process name. New customer approval. Okay. Then they're asking, boss, do you want every record to go to the approval? Do you want every record to be submitted for approval? I told, if it is more than 2000, then only submit for approval. Otherwise, you can directly approve it. Are you getting my point here? Now, do you want every record to be submitted for approval? Your choice. If you want every record to be submitted, leave this empty. No, only the records which are meeting this condition, they can be submitted for approval. Then we go for what? Entry criteria. What is entry criteria? Which records can be submitted for approval? Do you want every record to be submitted for approval? Or the records which are meeting this condition, only those records will be submitted for approval? Now, entry criteria. Which of the following records can be submitted for approval? Do you want every record to be submitted for approval? Or you want only particular records to be submitted for approval? If you want a particular record to be submitted for approval, give the condition. Now I say, if customer city equals to Hyderabad, then only submit. So only Hyderabad records require approval, sir. Other records doesn't require approval. So this is entry criteria. Records which are meeting this condition, only those records should be submitted for approval. Then go to the next one. Now we have next automated approval determined. Now it is saying, boss, you are submitting the record. Now directly you want to send it to your manager. You want to send it to your HR manager. You want to send it to your reporting manager. Now you want to send it to your, let's say, Scrum manager. To whom you want to submit? You want to make this process simplified. Now I am saying, whoever is submitting, submit the record to their project manager. Whoever is reporting, whoever is submitting, submit the record to their manager. So what is that? If I submit, goes to my manager. If you submit, goes to your manager automatically. So automated process, boss. Automatically, whoever is submitting the record, submit to their corresponding managers. Submit to their corresponding HR managers. What is this called? Determine automated approval. Automated approval. Automatically, your manager becomes approval. Automatically, my reporting manager becomes approval. The point is, who is this manager? Hierarchical field to me. For me, my manager is Satish manager. Satish is a user. Manager is a user. What is this called? Hierarchical relation. Satish is a user. HR manager is also a user. User to user. What is that? Hierarchical field. Boss, your next automated approval will be any one of the hierarchical field. If you want to make it, choose any one of the hierarchical field defined on the user. Okay, on user to user relation is called hierarchical. Satish, HR manager. Satish, manager. Satish, reporting manager. So if you choose whomever I am going to select as my manager, to that person record will be submitted. Okay. Now the question is, I told submit the record to manager. Whose manager? Now I have a condition like this. Satish. We have one Satish. Owner is Satish, but who submitted the record? Faraz submitted the record. 111 Satish, but who submitted the record? Faraz submitted the record. When Faraz submit, record will go to Faraz manager or Satish manager. So whoever is submitting the record will go to his manager. But according to my rules, record should not go to Faraz manager. Record should go to Satish manager. By default, record will go to Faraz manager. Whoever is submitting the record, by default, the record will go to Faraz manager. But I don't want the record to be submitted to Faraz manager. I want the record to be submitted for Satish manager. So who is that Satish? Owner. Boss, whoever is submitting, record is going to their manager. I don't want the record to be submitted to his manager. I want the record to be submitted to Faraz manager. Okay. Now Faraz manager. I don't want the record to be submitted to Faraz manager. I want the record to be submitted to Satish manager. Then what I will do? I was supposed to enable this option. What was this? Use approval field of a customer. When I enable this option, then what happened? Whoever is the owner of the record, his manager will be the approver. If I don't select this, whoever is submitting the record, his manager will be the automated approver. I hope you are clear. Record owner's manager or submitter's owner. By default goes to submitter's manager. No, I want the record to be submitted to record owner's manager, then enable this option. I hope I am clear with this. Now I told I will choose him later. I don't have such type of user. At the time of submitting, I will decide who is that person. Then what happened? Record editability. Boss, the moment you submit the record for approval, automatically record is logged. So content of the record cannot be modified by anyone. The moment I submit the record for approval, automatically the record is logged. Content of the record will not be visible to anyone. As the content of the record is not visible to anyone, who can modify it? Who can modify the content of the record? Then I told boss, admin only can edit. When you say admin only can edit, only administrator can modify the record. If you say admin or currently assigned approval. If record is submitted to me, I can also modify the content of the record. Boss, whenever you submit the record for an approval, automatically content of the record is logged. You cannot modify the content of the record. If you want to modify the content of the record, You want to modify the content of the record. You want to modify the content of the record. Any one of these two options should be enabled. If I choose the first, only admin can modify. If I choose the second, admin and approver both of them can modify. Okay. Then next one. You are submitting the record. When you submit the record to me, how do I know the record is submitted to me? You have to notify me. Boss, record, I am submitting the record to you. Kindly approve or reject. I have to notify you. So in how many ways I can notify? 2 ways. One is through email, other one is through chatter. First we will do with email, then I will go with chatter. So in how many ways we can do? 2 ways. One is through email, other one is through chatter. When I say through email, when I say you have to intimate through email, what I was supposed to do? Through email means, if I say you have to intimate through email, create an email template which I want to send, select the template. This notification will go to the concerned person. Now, when you submit the record, in the record there are 1000 fields. Do you want to show all the 1000 fields to the record? Whatever the data that is required to take a call. If I want to take a call of approval or reject, what all the data that I require, if you show me the data, it's sufficient. Now tell me, which fields you want me to show? Customer ID. Right. Like this, some fields I have selected. Right, okay. Along with the fields, do you want me to show history? What is the history? Before submitting the record to me, to whom else you submitted the record? Before submitting the record to me, to whom else you submitted the record? What is the decision they have taken? Before submitting the record to me, to whom else you submitted the record? Before submitting the record to me, to whom else you submitted the record? What is the decision they have taken? Did they approve it? Did they reject it? Did they approve it? Did they reject it? If they approved, why did they approve? Rejected, why they rejected? Was you are submitting the record to me. Before you submitted the record to me, to whom else you submitted this record? What is the decision they have taken? Did they approve or reject? The decision will be there. James Smith has submitted the record. Okay. Then Rich Coleman has approved it. Then he resubmitted the record to Becky Huffman. So before submitting the record to me, to whom else you submit the record? What is the decision they have taken? Did they approve or did they reject? The history you want to find out. You want to find out the history. How do you find out the history? Display approve history. When I enable this, you get this. The next we have security settings. What is the security settings? Boss, you are submitting the record for an approval. Who can approve? Now, you have submitted a record to me, but if I want to approve, how should I approve? If I want to reject, how should I reject? That is defined by two options. When you choose the first option, you have to log into the Salesforce, approve from the Salesforce only. Second one, when you go to the second step, I can approve from Salesforce, wireless mobiles, from mobile devices, or chatter, or email. I can approve through email, I can approve through chatter, I can approve through, like a Salesforce account, I can approve through mobile application. So from mobile, from chatter, from email, I can approve it. Wireless, you can approve from Salesforce, mobile, chatter, email. If I choose the first option, only from Salesforce. If you choose second, wireless. When I say wireless, I can go through mobile also. Right? Now, the main question is, who can submit the record? Finally, you have taken a decision. Okay, but who is allowed to submit? Who is allowed to submit the record? Who is allowed to submit the record? Who is allowed to submit? Identify. Who is allowed to submit the record? If something wrong happens, can I call back the record? I submitted the record, but I found there is something wrong. I want to call it back. Okay. Can I call the record back? Yes. By enabling this, we will call the record back. Are you getting my point here? Okay. Now I'll repeat entire process one more time. So let us understand the steps clearly. First, choose the object. Of the object, identify what type of process it is. Choose the result. Result. Jumpstart or standard setup. I'm going with the standard setup. Then we have entry criteria. They're asking, boss, what is the process name you have? Step number 1, approve process name. After the process name, they're asking, what is the entry criteria? Do you have any conditions? Do you want every record to be submitted or do you have any conditions? Then you have entry criteria. Entry condition. If the entry condition is true, then it goes through. Choose the automated approval. Then we have choose automated approval. Choose automated approval. I told yes, I need automated approval. Who is my automated approval? I told manager. Some automated approval. So what was this? Some hierarchy field. Then hierarchical field of what? Owner or submitted. Hierarchy field told of owner or submitted. Hierarchy field. Then once you choose the hierarchy field, security settings. What is the security settings? Or record editability. Record editability. Who can edit the record? Admin or automated, yes. Right. Once you give this, what are the next process we have? You're supposed to send notification. You're supposed to send email notification. Boss, how will you notify the approval? Through email or through chat? What is the process of your approval? You have taken a decision. Now how do you notify? Then give the condition which the fields approval layout. Approval page layout. It's approval page layout. What is that? Fields, history, then approval settings. Is approval Salesforce or Salesforce and Salesforce or Salesforce and Wellness. Once you are done with this, finally, who can submit the record? This is the process what you are in as of now. Who can submit the record? So, on an object, choose the wizard, standard or custom, standard or jumpstart. When it says standard, enter the process name, choose the entry condition, right? If you have any condition, condition is true, condition is false, stop the operation. This is the flow what we are following. Then, once you choose an entry condition, then it is asking, who is your automated approver? You want to choose any hierarchical field or not? We choose hierarchical field. Who is the hierarchical field? Then, who can modify the record once it is locked? Admin or admin approver. Then, next, notify the approver. How do you notify the approver? By using charter or email. Then, which fields you want to display on the approval page layout? What is the history? Previous history and approval settings. How can you approve the record? Is it from Salesforce or Salesforce and Wireless? Then finally, who is the initial submitter? Can I call the record back? I'll give the flow one more time. Listen carefully. This is only first step, boss. Listen to the process carefully. Now we got here object. On the object, I can say choose the wizard. Which wizard is this? The object I am choosing wizard. Wizard. Choose the wizard. In the wizard I have chosen standard setup wizard. When you choose standard setup wizard, then you are supposed to give process name. Then we have process. Once I enter the full process name, then it is asking, boss, what is your entry condition? What is your entry condition? Do you have any specific condition or you want every record to be submitted? Do you have specific condition or you want the record to be submitted? So I told entry condition. Entry condition. Once the records are met, once the entry condition is met, record can be submitted. When you want to submit the record, then they're going to ask, do you want to automate it? They want to ask, boss, do you want to automate it? Now they're asking, are you going to submit to automated approval? Now, hierarchical field. Who is the hierarchical field? Hierarchical field. It can be any one of the hierarchical field. Then once you choose this, record is logged. Record is going to be logged. Who can unlock the record? Who can edit it? Record edit. Who can edit? First of is admin. Second of is admin, and you are supposed to choose any one of the options. Once you are done with this, next, notify the approval. How can you notify the approval? Notify. In how many ways you can notify? 2 ways. Email template. After notifying the approval, then what happens? After notifying the approval was supposed to take a decision. Then when approval was supposed to take a decision, what are the steps we have? First, approval period. Which fields do you want to show? Approval is history. Then security settings. Salesforce. Salesforce page and values. Any one option you are supposed to choose. Then, once it is done, finally supposed to say who is the initial submitter, who was supposed to submit the record initially. Initial submitted and so this is the process boss. This is step number 1. Step number 1. This is step number 2. This entire process is step number 3. Step number 4. Step number 5. This is a process submission step. The entire step, whatever I give is approval process submission step. Now we are supposed to go for approval step. It is a submission step. Then we are supposed to go for approval step. Till here it is clear. Basic template is clear. Clear for everyone, right? Now let us understand how you build it on a customer object. First one, choose the standard set of wizard. Process name. Then, what is the entry condition? I told if city equal Hyderabad. If city equal Hyderabad. Who is the automated approval? I told none. I will choose later. Who can modify? Admin and current day set approval. Now, what is the email template you want to send? You can choose the template. Next. Which fields you want to display? Approval layout, How can I approve it? I can approve from Salesforce page. Security settings. I can approve from Salesforce page. Approval history. Do you want me to show previous history? Who can submit the record? I told Wilson can submit the record. Who can submit the record? If something goes wrong, can I call the record back? This is a submission step. I told I'll do it later. This is a process definition. The moment you submit the record, automatically some action should be done. What is the action? Record, log the record. Then what is this here? Approval step. The moment you submit the record, it goes to approval step. That is asking. The moment you submit the record, it will go to approval. Now it is asking. Every record submitted should come to this step. Do you want every record that is submitted should enter this step? I told yes. All the records should enter. Every record that is submitted successfully. Every record that was submitted successfully will enter this step. All the records should enter this step. If they enter this step, who is going to approve the record? I told let the submitter choose approval manually. At the time of submitting the record, I will choose who is my approver. You want any performing task? I told activate. I told what? Was at the time of submitting the record, approver will choose whom you want to submit. At the time of submitting the record, the submitter will choose whom you want to submit. Go back please. Let me go to Wilson. Go to customer, new customer, now I told active, I told city equal to Hyderabad, right? I gave Bangalore. Now you are finding an option. What is this? Submit for submit the record. Record will fail. Unable to submit because I gave condition called city equal to Hyderabad. What happened? Go back to the record. Change the city equal to Hyderabad. The moment I submit the record, is asking to whom you want to submit. I told manually I will choose. Then I told submit the record to Satish. Then the record is submitted. The moment record is submitted, what happened? Record is logged. I told who can modify the content of the record? Only administrator. I told only administrator can modify. Or approval. Only administrator and approval can modify. Now automatically what happened? It's setting. Satish, Wilson submitted the record to Satish. Status is. Then go to Satish. Go to home page. When you go to home page, you will be finding it. Items 2. The list of records which are submitted to you will be available here. Go to this. You have an option. Which fields are displayed to you? And you are finding what? It said. Which fields should be displayed? And do you want to show the history or not? Then what was this? Approval. I approved the record. The moment I approve the record, then what I am doing? Log is released. Log is released. Is there was clear for everyone? Was you submitted the record for approval. Once you submit the record for approval, all the records will enter step number 1. Then at the time of submitting, I am choosing my approval. Record will go to him. Once he approve or reject. Okay. Now here, look at the process. At the time of creating a process, I told every record should enter this step. Every record which was submitted successfully should enter this step. But I told don't show all the records, only those records whose branch is whose branch is SNI. So when city equal Hyderabad, it will submit. If branch equal SNI, that will come to me. Otherwise, directly approve it. If branch is SNI, I will take a decision. Branch is other than SNI, directly approve it. Okay, what is it? Do you want every record to enter this step? Boss, all records are not readed. The records, whose city is SNI, they send them to me. Rest all the things, approve it directly. So only these records will come to step number 1. Rest of the records will be approved. Right, boss? Right. So what is the branch? Will be record. If it is LB directly what happened? Record will be approved. You submitted the record, you are able to see. Submitted by Wilson, approved by. Submitted by Wilson, approved by. Why I told only those records, whose city is SNI, send those records to approval step. Again, I am giving here. Now it is SNI. Whom you want to submit? Then I am going to receive. Now what is the process? Right. Now if something goes wrong, I can call back. Recall. What is a recall? What was it? It was? Right, boss? So when you are submitting, they are asking, boss, every record that is submitted successfully to me, do you want every record to go to step number 1? If yes, every record will go to step number 1, approval will take a decision. No, the records are submitted successfully. Out of this, if the record is meeting the following condition, send it to me. Otherwise, directly approve. Are you getting my point? Now I told my requirement is, look at my requirement. If experience is less than 3 years, send it to approval. Or else I can give text. If experience is greater than 3 years, salary is more than 50K. Otherwise, now this is the condition. Then what happened? If any record comes to me, with a given experience, what is the condition they give? Some condition they give. They give a condition. What is the condition? Experience greater than 3 years. Okay. Yes. Then send it to step number 1. Send it to step number 1. If a record comes to step number 1, who is the approver? Approver is. If it is less than this, I told directly, you have 2 choices, approve or reject. But I told, so records which are submitted to me successfully, when the records are submitted to me successfully, I have a condition. If the records are meeting the condition, then go to step number 1. If records are not meeting the condition, directly you will go for approve or reject based on your choice. In this case, I told reject. In this case, I told reject. Are you clear? Was records which are submitted to me successfully on those records. Do you want to send every record to? Do you want to send every record to step number 1? Yes. So send every record. No. Records which are meeting the condition, then define the condition. Then what happened? Only records which are meeting this condition will go to step number 1. Other records will be approved or rejected as per your choice. Concept is clear? Concept is clear? Right? So I'll make it one more time. Make it clear. Now, you submitted the records here. When you submit the records, that will. Boss, do you want every record to be submitted or only? Every record? You say every record? No, not every record. Don't send every record. It's not every record. Then we'll ask, give the condition. Give the condition. Record which are meeting the condition will go to now. If you say send every record to this, you go to step number 1 directly. No, not every record. Then what is the condition? If condition is true, go to this. Condition is false. Improve order. This is the process. Boss, every record which is submitted to me, do you want every record to go to step number 1? Yes, go to step number 1 directly. No, I don't want every record to go to step number 1. Then specify the condition. When you give the condition, records which are meeting the condition, they will go to step number 1. Records which are not meeting the condition, you can give improve or reject. You can give improve or reject. I hope you are clear. That is the previous one is submission. This is approval. Previous is submission. This is approval. I hope you are clear. People are clear about this format? Right? Okay. Let me give a complete example now. Second box. Now let us see the complete example. Let me check the objects what I have first. Sources. Now I am going to create a couple of fields here. Source name. I have ended duration. Now status. Now I have an object here called course object. When I am going for page layout, any fields you create using schema builder, they will not be visible. Right. So this is the course object what we have. It's a course object. What happened? Whenever a new course is created, whenever a new course is created, with the start date, okay, with the start date less than 1 week from now, that should be approved by faculty. Any course which is started, any new course created with a start date less than 1 week from today, that should be submitted to your let's say admin people or faculty person for approval. This is my requirement. Now, how do you do it? Once the faculty approve it, you set status equal to approve. The moment I submit the record, status equal to what? Faculty equal to pending, admin equal to pending. Status equal to pending, admin equal to pending. Otherwise, I'll create one more field. Status. Because once you approve and reject it, there should be some action. Now go back to this. How do you create approval process? Setup, build, create, workflows and approvals. So creating a choose object, course, process, standard, new course approval, condition. I'm giving a criteria. It is a new. He is a new. It's a new record. Okay, always. So start date minus today is more than start date minus today is less than 1 week. Then record should be submitted. If the start of the course is less than 1 week, record should be submitted. To whom you are submitting the record? Record should be submitted to your manager directly. Record should be submitted to your manager directly. I am submitting the record to manager directly. Yeah. Record editable. Some email template you have to create it. Next. Thank you. History, yes. How to improve Salesforce and wireless? Who can submit the record? Person can submit it. Call back. Clear, everyone is clear? Base steps. Then I told the moment you submit the record, what should happen? Field update. Once you submit the record, field update. What is that? Status pending. The moment you submit the record, status should be modified as pending. So once you submit the record for approval, automatically status will be one more. Field update. Faculty status also. So once you submit the record, automatically what happens? Status will be set as pending. The moment you submit the record, status will be pending. So what is the step? Approval step. Do you want every record to submit for approval? Do you want every record to be submitted for approval? I told boss, don't set all the records. If the fee is less than, fee is greater than 10,000, send it to me, otherwise reject. Fee is greater than 10,000, send it to me, otherwise reject. Then assign the record to whom? Manager. Assign the record to, automatically record will go to manager. Automatically assign the record to manager. Once you submit the record to manager, it's asking, boss, if manager approves, what should happen? You submit the record, right? Now you submit the record to manager. If the manager approves, what should happen? Manager approved. How do you know that manager approved? Then I told. If manager approved, field update. Faculty approved. Faculty rejected. Faculty rejected. Alright. Faculty approved, faculty rejected. If finally record is approved, faculty approved, why? Faculty approved, faculty rejected or approved. Finally, what will happen? Finally, when the faculty approved, what is the final action? Status. I submitted the record to you, you approved. Once you approved, finally what should I do? I kept finally status equal to approved. Right. Then we are going with. So this is the process what I created. And go back to this. Observe carefully. New. Start date 10th. The duration I told. Now I'm not doing status, admin, faculty, I'm keeping everything blank. What is the values of status, admin, faculty? Blank. Then I'm submitting the record for approval. Unable to submit the request for approval. Why? Start date minus today, less than a week. Now what is that? Is it because of that? Boss, you told approval should be manager. You told approval should be manager. So who is submitting the record? Wilson is submitting. So who should be the approval? Wilson's manager is the approval. But who is the manager of Wilson? So go to users, go to Wilson, there is a manager. Wilson's manager is, you told record should be submitted to Wilson's manager directly. But you are not mentioning who is the manager for Wilson. Submit the record. The moment you submit the record, what happened? Submitted to Satish, status is pending. Now what is the work here? Faculty equal to pending, status equal to pending. Why? Why? Initial submission action. The moment you submit the record for approval, automatically perform this action. Initial submission action. The moment you submit the record for approval, automatically log the record and perform the initial submission action. The moment you submit the record for approval, automatically perform initial submission action. I hope you are clear. Initial submission action. Then go to home page. Ready. Now I told approve the record. When I approve the record, automatically status equal to approved, faculty equal to approved. Because manager is approved, faculty is approved. Because the record is approved, status equal to, are you getting? So approval step action, final. If you approve the record, if a record is submitted to me, I approved. If I approve, what is the action? Finally, if the record is approved, what is the action? Finally, if the record is approved, what is the action? Are you getting my point here? Are you getting my point? I approved. Let us say, I'll give it as submit the record to Satish. Once Satish approved, submit the record to Wilson. Once he approved, finally record is approved. Now what is that? Satish, Wilson, and finally approved. Now Satish may reject, Wilson may reject. Then how do I know that who rejected? Satish approved, Wilson rejected. How do I know that Wilson rejected? There is a reason. Satish, you approved, okay, status equal to this. Satish, you rejected, this is the status. Wilson, you approved, this is the status. Wilson, you rejected, this is the status. If both of you approved, this will be the final status. If both of you rejected, this is the final rejection action. So, approval step, action, for approval, rejection action. Final approval action, final rejection action. So, what we have? Initial submission action, approval step, approval action, rejection action, final rejection action. Are you clear about this? Are you clear? People have got that story? Clear? Am I clear? Okay. So I'll give some theoretical information. We'll see further examples tomorrow, but on the same topic, I'll give few theoretical information. Now, we have two types of approval process. Parallel approval process is there. What is that parallel approval process? When I say parallel approval process, it means boss, if you submit the record to more than one user, in a single step, if you submit the record to more than one user in a single step. Now, right now, step number one, there is only Wilson who is approving it. Step number two, there is only Kiran. In the same step, there are two people. Boss, I was submitting the record to Satish and Kiran. Any one of you can take a decision. Step number one, in a single step, if you submit the record to more than one user, in a single step, if you submit the record to more than one user, then I'll go for what? Then I'll go for parallel approval process. What was that called? Parallel approval process. What is that parallel approval process? Within a single step, if you are submitting the record to more than one user, that is called parallel approval process. In the parallel approval process, there are two things we have. What is that? First response approval. Second one is unanimous response approval. When you say first response approval, I submitted to, three users. User 1, user 2, user 3. I submitted the record to these three people. Right. When I submitted, this person responded. When I submitted the record, this guy gave the first reply, approve. Whoever is the one who is giving the first reply, that is a final decision. When I submit the record to a group of people, in that group, whoever gives the first reply, that is the final. The reply may be approved or the reply may be rejected. Whoever is giving the first reply, that is a final decision, which is called first response approval process. Then we have unanimous approval process. If I submit the record to a group, everyone in the group has to approve, then only record will be approved. Then that is called unanimous approval process. Now, parallel approval process. if you submit the record to more than one user in a single step, if you submit the record to more than one user in a single step, that is called parallel approval process. There are two types of parallel approval process. First one is unanimous, second one is first response. Unanimous means everyone has to approve it, then only record will be approved. First response means whoever is giving the first reply, that decision is the final decision. So how many types of parallel approval we have? Two types. The next one, we have delegated approval. Delegated approval means, boss, record is submitted to Satish for approval. Who is the actual approval? Satish. You submitted the record to me, but on behalf of Satish, I am saying, Kumar, if any record is submitted to me, you can approve or reject on behalf of me. You can approve or reject the record on behalf of me. Record is submitted to me for approval. Record is submitted to me for approval. Record is submitted for me for approval on behalf of this record. On behalf of me, on behalf of Satish, my delegated user also can approve. I'll say, Kumar is my delegated approver. So if any record submitted to me, I can approve. On behalf of me, Kumar also can approve. Are you getting? Then the Kumar becomes what? Delegated approver. Kumar becomes what? Delegated approver. Are you getting my point? So boss, you are submitting a record for a decision. I can say, I can give a reply. On behalf of me, my wife can also give a reply. Now who is my wife from? Delegated approval. Delegated approval. Now you submit a record to me, I can take a decision in my office, my wife can also give the reply. So she becomes what? Delegated. Doesn't mean that always she give a reply. When I say delegated, doesn't mean that she always give a reply. Now in my absence, she will give the reply. Are you clear about this? Delegated approval. What is the first one? Parallel approval. Second one is delegated approval. Third one is dynamic approval. Dynamic approval means at the time of creating a record, I am going to choose. At the time of creating record, name, Satish, okay, codes, SFDC, okay, institute, capital 4, location, I will repeat. Then who is the admin? I told admin is, let us say Ramesh. Then the record should be submitted to Ramesh for approval. In the record, the user I am selecting, to that user record has to go. At the time of creating a record, whichever the user I am selecting as admin, the record has to be submitted to him. Now, right now what I am doing? I am opening the record, there is a button on the top, clicking the button, submit for approval. But what I am saying, you should not submit the record. Automatically record should go for approval. Once I create a record should automatically go to a approval to my manager. Whomever I am selecting. Is what? Dynamic. Dynamic approvals will be done through programming. Dynamic approvals will be done through programming. So we'll be doing the dynamic approval using a Apex program. I hope you are clear. Right. So what are the terms? Parallel approval process, delegated approval, dynamic Apex. Okay, dynamic approval. The next step. Okay. Now step number 1. I submitted the record to step number 1. Step number 1 approved, went to step number 2. Step number 2 also approved, came to step number 3. In the step number 3, they rejected. There are 3 steps involved. 1 approved, 2 approved, 3 rejected. When 3 rejected, should I come back to 0 or should I come back to 2? 1 approved, 2 approved, went to 3. In the 3 they rejected. When they rejected, entire process should be rejected or only that step should be rejected. Only if that step is rejected, what happened? Come back to, only that step is rejected, what will happen? Come back to previous step. Right? So there are 2 choices we have. At the time of creating a multi-step approval, they'll ask, boss, if a record is rejected in the later steps, what should be the behavior? Should I cancel the entire operation or should I cancel only this step and send it to previous person? Satish approved, sent to Karthik. Karthik sent to Karthik approved, sent to Prasad. But Prasad rejected the record. When Prasad rejected the record, should I send back the record to Karthik or should I send the record to Satish again? What my point here? Okay. So that's what we are trying to give. Now, there are two choices. We can choose the option. There are two options. Send it to reject everything or send it to previous step. Send it to previous step. Right, boss? Okay. We'll see these examples tomorrow. We'll understand these examples tomorrow. Right. Any queries as of now? People have followed this? People have followed this? Any queries? Clear for everyone? Sandbox. I'll create a sandbox, but it will be activated tomorrow. Eight morning. We'll start it. Already Visual Codes competition is 1 week. Get it started.
ఇది అయిపోయాక కంటిన్యూ అవ్వచ్చా అంటే నాకు ఇది సమ్ క్లాస్ మిస్ అవుతున్నాను నేను అది కంటిన్యూ అవుతాను అంటే ఆఫీస్ ఉంటున్నాను అంటే ఈ క్లాసెస్ అన్ని పబ్లిక్ ఇస్తాను వీడియోస్ ఇస్తామని చెప్తారు సో నేను ఇది క్యాన్సిల్ చేసుకుని 8:30 బ్యాచ్ స్టార్ట్ అవ్వచ్చు ఆ వీడియోస్ తో
కొన్ని క్లాసులు అయిపోయి కదా లాస్ అవుతుంది డెవలప్మెంట్ క్లాస్
నేను అవి వీడియోస్ తీసుకొచ్చాను
మీ చాయిస్ ఆల్రెడీ అయ్యింది మీరు చూడటానికి కూడా అప్పుడు ఏం చేయాలంటే మీరు ఇది అది ఒక 10 days ప్యారల్ దాని 10 days ప్యారల్ అయితే దాన్ని 10 days ప్యారల్
after assigning what is the user after assigning a task what is the what they will do
చేసే చేస్తాము సరిగ్గా వర్క్ కూడా ఆస్క్ టు డూ మీకు వర్క్ చేసి వర్క్ ఏమో చెప్తాను కొత్త కస్టమర్ వచ్చేవాడు కాల్ చేసి కన్ఫర్మ్ చేయమని రెస్పాన్సిబుల్ ఎవరు తీసుకోవాలి ఇవ్వాలి కదా అది చెప్పాలి కదా వర్క్ దాని టాస్క్
హలో
Yes, Veena, go ahead. Maybe a week time.
1 week.
Maybe at max a week.
Okay.